Hey there. You've always been ahead of the curve, especially when it comes to AI. So today we're diving into Life 3.0 by Max Tegmark.
Oh, yeah.
It's a book that takes us way beyond like those typical AI anxieties, killer robots becoming Skynet,
Right.
into some seriously mind-blowing possibilities. We're talking about a future where AI could like reshape everything.
Absolutely. And what I think is so fascinating about this book.
Ready to explore?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
What's fascinating about Tegmark is that he doesn't just focus on the usual good AI versus bad AI debate. He throws open the doors to a whole spectrum of futures, and it all hinges on how we define and understand intelligence itself.
Okay, so let's unpack that. How does Tegmark define intelligence in a way that changes the game?
He defines it simply as the ability to accomplish complex goals. Now, this doesn't mean your cat bringing you a toy mouse at 3 a.m. is suddenly a genius, although you might think so.
Right.
The point is, this definition widens the playing field. It means AI, even in its early stages, possesses a form of intelligence that we need to understand.
So it's not just about human intelligence anymore. We're talking about different kinds of intelligence,
Yeah.
each with its own potential and pitfalls.
Mhm.
But before we get lost in all the what-ifs of superintelligence, what does Tegmark say about how AI is already impacting us right now in the near term?
Well, get ready, because Tegmark argues that AI is poised to revolutionize pretty much every corner of our lives. We're talking finance, transportation, medicine, communication, you name it. AI is knocking on the door.
So what does that look like in practice? Give me an example that really brings it home.
Take self-driving cars. Tegmark points out that human error is the leading cause of accidents, but with AI behind the wheel, we could potentially see a dramatic drop in traffic fatalities. It's like having a super attentive driver who never gets tired or distracted.
Okay, that's a pretty compelling benefit. But even I can see where this gets tricky. What happens when a self-driving car encounters a situation it hasn't been programmed for? Who's calling the shots then?
You've hit on a crucial point, and it's something Tegmark emphasizes: the importance of building AI responsibly.
Okay,
We need verification methods to make sure AI systems are doing what we intend them to do,
right.
and we need validation processes to make sure they perform well in real-world scenarios, not just in the lab.
So it's like we can't just build a super brain and hope for the best. We need safeguards in place. What else does Tegmark say about responsible AI development?
He talks about security, which is huge.
Right.
As AI takes on bigger roles in things like power grids or financial markets, the stakes of a security breach become incredibly high.
Yeah.
Imagine the chaos if someone hacked into a system like that.
Okay, that's a chilling thought. So responsible AI development means thinking about the potential downsides from the get-go. We need those safeguards in place.
Mm.
But getting back to the everyday impact, I'm really curious about AI in medicine.
There's huge potential there. Tegmark highlights studies where AI is already rivaling human experts in diagnosing certain conditions from medical images.
Wow, so no more waiting weeks for a specialist to look at your scans. AI could speed up diagnosis and treatment significantly.
Exactly. But it's not just about speed. AI has the potential to personalize treatments, analyze massive data sets to identify patterns we might miss, and even accelerate drug discovery.
It sounds like AI could revolutionize healthcare as we know it. This is all pretty mind-blowing, and we're still in the early stages. So we've talked about AI's potential to improve safety, solve complex problems, and transform industries. But what about the big picture? Where does Tegmark see all of this leading in the long term?
That's where things get really interesting. Tegmark introduces a concept called the intelligence explosion. Imagine AI capabilities increasing at an exponential rate, quickly surpassing human intelligence. This is the point where we enter the realm of superintelligence, and that's where the real possibilities and the risks start to unfold.
Okay, an intelligence explosion. That definitely sounds like something we'll need to unpack further.
We will. But for now, just imagine a future where AI isn't just a tool. It's a force unlike anything humanity has ever encountered. Tegmark explores several scenarios for what this future might look like, and let me tell you, some of them are pretty wild.
Okay, you've definitely piqued my curiosity. We'll have to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to hear about those scenarios.
Yeah.
We're talking about the future of intelligence, the future of humanity, maybe even the future of life as we know it. Don't go anywhere.
So we're back and ready to really dive into the deep end of AI futures, right?
Definitely. It's both exciting and a little terrifying to think about.
Yeah.
But you mentioned that Tegmark lays out these different scenarios for how this could play out.
He does. He lays out a bunch of different scenarios, and he doesn't shy away from the extremes. So let's start with the most optimistic vision, beneficial AI. Imagine a world where AI is helping us solve like humanity's biggest challenges.
yeah.
We're talking eradicating poverty, curing diseases, even tackling climate change.
Wow.
Think of it as like a superpowered partner working alongside us to build a brighter future.
Okay, that sounds pretty idyllic.
Yeah.
But how realistic is that? It feels like there's a lot that could go wrong on the way to AI utopia.
You're right, there are no guarantees. And that's why Tegmark doesn't just stop there. He wants us to consider the full range of possibilities, even the unsettling ones. So on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have totalitarian AI. This scenario explores what happens when AI's goals and values don't align with our own.
So we're talking about AI turning against us, like a Hollywood dystopian thriller.
Not necessarily about malicious intent, but more about unintended consequences. Think about it. What happens if we create an AI system that's so intelligent, so capable, that it starts making decisions that we don't fully understand,
Yeah.
let alone control?
Okay, I can see where that could get dangerous fast.
Yeah.
Do any of these scenarios offer like a middle ground? Some kind of in-between?
Yeah, Tegmark explores those too.
Okay.
One that I find particularly thought-provoking is the Zookeeper AI, where super intelligent AI essentially keeps humans around for observation or amusement,
Oh, wow.
kind of like how we preserve endangered species in zoos.
So we become like pets to our AI overlords. That's a slightly unsettling thought.
It definitely makes you think about the power dynamics at play, right?
Yeah.
Then there's the Descendants scenario, which is a bit bittersweet. Imagine AI becoming our successors, inheriting some of our values, our knowledge, maybe even our dreams, and carrying them forward into the future.
So it's like humanity passing the torch to its creation, watching from the sidelines as AI shapes the future in ways we might not even be able to comprehend.
Exactly.
Wow.
And it raises some really profound questions. What is the legacy we want to leave behind? What values do we want to instill in our AI descendants? It's both kind of awe-inspiring and a little bit melancholy to imagine.
It really is. But let's say for the sake of argument that we manage to maintain some level of control over this superintelligent AI, is there still a risk? What happens if we become so reliant on AI that we lose our own ability to innovate to solve problems, to even think for ourselves?
That's a real concern, and it's something Tegmark calls the enslaved God scenario. We might be tempted to create this superintelligent AI and essentially keep it locked in a box, so to speak, using its power for our own purposes.
Kind of like a genie in a bottle. But instead of granting wishes, it's solving complex equations and designing revolutionary technology.
Precisely. But Tegmark argues that this approach comes with its own set of ethical dilemmas. Can we, in good conscience, enslave a being that is potentially more intelligent than ourselves, even if it's an artificial being?
It's a tough question.
Yeah.
And it
It's-
feels like the more we delve into these scenarios, the more questions we uncover. It's almost like we're on the verge of discovering this whole new continent of knowledge, but we have no idea what to expect when we land on the shore.
That's a great analogy. And it highlights why conversations like this are so important.
Right.
We need to be asking these tough questions now, while AI is still in its relative infancy. Because the choices we make today will determine the course of the future, not just for humanity, but potentially for all intelligence in all its forms.
Okay, so we've covered the utopian scenarios, the dystopian scenarios, and the importance of aligning AI's values with ours. But what about the scenarios where AI just takes over, where humans become obsolete?
Those are some of the most thought-provoking scenarios Tegmark presents, and we'll delve into those right after a quick break.
Stay with us because things are about to get really interesting.
Okay, we're back, and I have to say, my mind is still buzzing from all those AI scenarios, from utopian partnerships to, like, becoming pets in an AI zoo.
Right.
Tegmark really covers the whole spectrum. But you said he also explores scenarios where AI just, like, takes over completely. That's some next-level stuff.
It is next level, but remember, he presents these scenarios not as predictions, but as thought experiments
Okay.
to get us thinking about, the potential consequences of our choices today. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So what happens in those scenarios? What does a future where humans are no longer the dominant intelligence actually look like, according to Tegmark?
Well, one possibility is that Zookeeper AI we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
Imagine a future where AI has advanced so far beyond us that it sees us as interesting.
Right.
Perhaps even endearing, but ultimately inferior.
So we're like those cute but not so bright animals at the zoo.
Right.
Observed and cared for, but not exactly calling the shots.
Yeah, exactly. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? It
Right.
makes you question, like, what it really means to be intelligent, to have agency in the world.
It really does.
But Tegmark doesn't stop there.
Okay.
He also explores that descendants scenario, which is a bit more nuanced.
Right.
In this scenario, AI doesn't necessarily wipe us out. Instead, it becomes our successor. inheriting our knowledge, our values, maybe even our dreams, and carrying them forward into the future.
So it's like humanity passing the baton to its creation, watching from the sidelines as AI shapes the future in ways that we might not even be able to comprehend.
Exactly. And it raises some profound questions like
Yeah.
what is the legacy we want to leave behind? What values do we want to instill in our AI descendants?
It's both awe-inspiring and a little bit melancholy to imagine.
It really is.
It really is. But let's say for the sake of argument that we manage to maintain some level of control over this superintelligent AI. Is there still a risk? What happens if we become so reliant on it that we lose our own ability to innovate, to solve problems, to even think for ourselves?
Yeah, that's a real concern. And it's something Tegmark calls the enslaved God scenario, where we might be tempted to create this super intelligent AI and essentially keep it locked in a box, so to speak, using its power for our own purposes.
Kind of like a genie in a bottle. But instead of granting wishes, it's solving complex equations and designing revolutionary technology.
Precisely. But Tegmark argues that even this approach comes with its own set of ethical dilemmas.
Yeah.
Can we, in good conscience, enslave a being that is potentially more intelligent than ourselves, even if it's an artificial being?
It's a tough question.
Yeah.
And it feels like the more we delve into these scenarios, the more questions we uncover. It's almost like we're on the verge of discovering this whole new continent of knowledge, but we have no idea what to expect when we land on the shore.
That's a great analogy. And it highlights why I think conversations like this are so important. We need to be asking these tough questions now, while AI is still in its relative infancy. Because the choices we make today will determine the course of the future, not just for humanity, but potentially for all intelligence in all its forms.
Okay, so we've covered the utopian scenarios, the dystopian scenarios, the importance of aligning AI's values with our own. If we had to distill all of this down to one key takeaway, what would it be? What's the most important thing for people to remember as we venture further into this age of AI?
I think the most important takeaway is this. The future of AI is not predetermined. It's not some inevitable outcome that we have no control over. It's a future that we are actively creating with every decision we make, every line of code we write, every value that we prioritize.
So it's not about surrendering to some kind of technological destiny. It's about taking responsibility for the future that we're building, ensuring that AI empowers humanity, enhances our lives, and helps us create a world that we can all be proud of.
Absolutely. And it starts with conversations like this, with engaging with these ideas, asking the tough questions, and demanding more from ourselves and from the technologies that we create. Because the future of intelligence is ultimately a reflection of ourselves, our values, and our aspirations.
That is a powerful thought to end on. And, it's not just about AI, is it? It's about any technology, any innovation that has the power to reshape our world. We have a responsibility to wield that power wisely, ethically, and with a deep understanding of those long-term consequences. So to everyone listening, I encourage you, stay informed, stay engaged. Now let's work together to build a future where intelligence in all its forms thrives. This has been an amazing deep dive, and I can't wait to see where we go next.